All right guys, so on today's field tips, we're going to be talking about how to make a very nice Flemish twist bowstring without a string jig. String making is something that I've covered in a couple of videos in the past. I made one video showing how to make a Flemish twist string with a jig, and then years and years ago I made a video showing how to do it without a jig. But I made those, that first video, the string in there, I made it in a little bit different way. And so I wanted to do an updated video showing how to do this or how I make strings now. And then also I had a couple of questions from some of the guys on my Patreon site. Zach Manning had sent me some emails, said he had gone through a full spool of fastflight trying to make a string, and he just couldn't get the length quite right. And so we're going to talk about some of these different things. We're going to make the string and just give you some tips and tricks for to make the string making process quite a bit easier. All right, so the bow that we're going to be making this string for is 64 inches overall length. And so a general, like a good rule of thumb for how long to cut those bundles is to take their overall bow length and just add 20 inches to it. And so what I've done is on the wall here, I've got two little finishing nails. I've got one here and then 84 inches that way. I've got another one driven at the same height. And so I'm just going to take my string, wrap around here, and use that as a good way to measure those strands out so that you don't have to worry about measuring individual strands. Another good thing that having these nails up here is going to do is it allows you to keep a constant tension on that line. Because if you have some loose and some tight, when you cut those strings, they're not going to lay into their bundles very well. And so if you keep that tension right and the same, it's going to make for much nicer bundles, and it's going to make the string making process a lot easier. All right, so I'm going to start with the red. Just going to make a couple of wraps around there. And then come all the way to the other one. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7 strands. You just take a sharp knife, cut that. Try to keep them even. Cut that. And now we can do our other color. Let's make a couple of wraps to hold it in place. Get that. Two, 4, 6, 7. All right, so we've got the main part of our string cut here. Now we just need to cut some short pieces to reinforce and build up the nock loops. So for the little short pieces that we're going to cut here, you know, this is not something that you absolutely have to do, but it will beef up the nock loops a little bit and make them so that they aren't quite so hard on the tips of the bow. All right, so for the nock loop reinforcements, I've got 3 different bundles. There's 2 strands a piece in here, and I've got one that's about 12, about 10, and about 8 inches. And I've got one for this other color as well. I'm just going to take them, bundle them together so that they're kind of splitting the difference and keeping things even from side to side. And I'm just going to stick them together. All right, so now that we've got our 2 little reinforcement bundles here, we can go ahead and start making our string. So I'm just going to take one of the bundles and lay it on the main part of the string. Now I'm going to come in about, I don't know, half an inch or an inch or so from the end, lay this on there, and then just go ahead and stick that to that ply. Do the same thing with the other side. All right, so now we need to measure back about 8 inches or so, which my hand is gonna span right at 8 inches. And so that's gonna be right here. This is where we're gonna start our reverse twist for our nock loop. So grab both in one hand like that, both bundles. Take one of them and twist it away from you. Same thing with the other one. Twist it away from you. Now what we're going to do is start the reverse twist. So twist away, grab, flip your hand back. Grab, twist away, grab, flip back. Grab, twist away, grab this one between these fingers, rotate your hand back. Now every time I twist, I'm taking this hand and moving it forward to cover and hold that twist in place, okay? Grab, go back. Grab, twist away, come back. Just keep doing this. And you're gonna do it, depends on how far you do this is gonna depend on how big your nocks are and how big the tips of your bow is. But if you're making a fine tipped bow, or if you have a bow with relatively fine nocks, you won't need to go very far. That's right there's probably plenty for most bows. So now what we're gonna do is take these two ends and twist them back into the main body of the string. Now if you've got any twist down here, you might wanna take that out. And then all we're gonna do is take the red piece, lay it on top of the red ply, the black piece, lay it on top of the black ply. And now we're gonna do that same thing. Grab this one, twist it away, grab the main body, and rotate back. Now that's got it locked in. You do the same thing. Grab, twist away, grab this, rotate back. You can see how that's already working. That's already locking that in there. Now, as you're doing this, you're twisting this up down here, so you need to just untwist this every now and then. Try not to let it fall around down in the dirt on the floor, because this stuff is waxy and the dirt will stick to it. But just keep on like that, down for 8 or 10 inches or so. All right, and all these little tag ends that we have here, you can trim those off and then burn them with a lighter, and that'll clean this thing up. All right, so we've twisted about 8 inches or so down into the string. And now what we're gonna do is just come on down to this end and start doing some reverse twist down here. Now, one of the things that you need to watch out for is while we were twisting up this end, we introduced a bunch of kind of back twists into these main plies here. And so if we just come to the other end and start our reverse twist down here, these two strands or these two plies are not gonna lay together really well because they're twisted in different directions. And so we need to go ahead, hook this on something and work from here down, taking that twist out of it so that these two strands kind of become one ply. So what I'm gonna do is just hook this nock on a bolt here, and I'm just gonna look down this thing and I'm gonna start undoing these twists. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, take it out of 12 inches or so and then come, take it out of another 12 or 14 inches. And just work your way down that ply. Then set this one aside. Do the same thing with the other one. All right, so now we've got most of the twist out of these strings, and we can go ahead and measure the length to where we need to start our reverse twist on the other side. So this string is going to be for a bow that's about 64 inches, and so the string itself is going to end up being about 61 inches. And so what I'm going to do, whatever length string you're making, just go to that finished final length, so your bow, nock to nock bow length minus about 3 inches, and then come back up about 8 inches. And that's where you want to start the reverse twist, down on this side. So let's see here, 61. So we're going to start a reverse twist down here at about 53 inches from that side. So again, put a little bit of tension on there so that both strands have the same amount of tension. Pinch them together, and then just start that same reverse twist. So wherever you need to start, just pinch it, and then again, just grab one, roll it away, flip your hand back, come to the next one, roll it away, back, and then move this thumb and forefinger up the string to hold it in place. Twist away, roll back, twist away, roll back. We're going to do this all the way to the end. Once you get down here to the end, just go ahead and tie a little square knot in there just to keep it from unraveling. We'll cut this off later. We've got our nock loop in this end. This end is just a straight piece. So to form a loop in this end, we're going to use a bowyer's knot, or a timber hitch is a good name for it. So all it is, you tie a square knot, just a basic square knot, and instead of tightening it like this, you bring the loop, bring your tag end around this way, and come right back through here. So it just creates basically a little bind on itself like that. And then that'll secure it to the bottom nock of your bow. And if it ever slips, all you got to do is take this and go through there one more time. And this way you can adjust the string back and forth until you find the perfect length. You get the bowstring all stretched out, you find the perfect length for that string, and then we're going to go ahead and take this thing and braid it back into this to fix that bottom loop. All right, so we're ready to stick this string on the bow. So just take the nock loop that you twisted in, slide that over your limb tip. The other side, just take your bowyer's knot, stick right on your nock, tighten it up, and make sure that that knot where the main body of the string comes out is right in the center. Go ahead and string the bow. And that's a little bit too low for the brace height, but we still need to stretch the string out anyway, so go ahead and just grab the bow, put a little pressure on it, really stretch that string out. Then we'll go ahead and unstring it, tighten that bowyer's knot or the timber hitch up a little bit, take some slack out of this string, and we'll get this thing set perfect before we twist this bottom nock loop back in. So that right there is about perfect. So now what we need to do is go ahead and just take the string off the bow. And when we take this bowyer's knot off, make sure that it stays about that same, just slip it right off the end. Try not to loosen it up too much. And now we can twist this thing back into the main body. All right, so we need to make sure that we maintain this, this shape, this loop. And so what I'm gonna do is just take these tag ends and run back through there, untying this knot. So I've untied the knot, but it's still the same size. I haven't let this slip or move. And so we're gonna keep that like that. I'm gonna take this, cut the end off of it. So now we have these two plies untwisted all the way back to where they cross this main line. So now, right where they crossed on this main line, we're gonna untwist this thing and open up a little hole in it, just like that. So now we're gonna take these little tag ends, we're gonna come through that hole from opposite sides. It might be a little bit hard for you to pick up exactly what I'm doing on the camera because there are kind of detailed movements. But if you want, you can pick up this book, the Traditional Bowyer's Handbook. It covers all aspects of bow building, but in this book there's a chapter that covers this process in detail, the reverse twist method, how to form these loops, and all of that stuff. So it's a good resource. Just like that. Now we're gonna come down one, we're gonna open up another little hole. Like that, making sure that there's one cross in these plies between where these came through the first time and where they're going to come back through the second time. Do the same thing again. Open up another little hole. Go through. Go back through. Keep things tight. So now we've got our loop formed, and now we just need to braid this all the way down so that it doesn't slip when you put pressure on it. I went ahead and got the bottom nock braided back in there, and these tag ends I'm not going to worry about right now. We can trim those up later. That's just about perfect. The brace height you can adjust by twisting it up, and this string is going to stretch a little bit, but it shouldn't stretch much. But that's going to be just about right. Now we can go ahead and throw our serving on there. All right, so this string is 14 strands of Fastflight Plus, and this is 0.030 halo serving, and that's going to be pretty good for a Bohnning Classic nock. So the nock fit is something that's oftentimes overlooked, but it can be very, very important. You don't want it too loose where your arrow's falling off, and you certainly don't want it too tight so that it creates flight issues for your arrows. And so different nocks are going to have different fits, and so you can customize the nock fit through using different size serving, different numbers of strands of string, different string materials. All of these things are going to make for a different nock fit. And so if you don't know exactly what you need, just give the folks at Three Rivers a call and tell them what kind of nock you're going to be using, and they can give you some recommendations on how many strands of a certain type of string material or what size serving you might need to make those nocks fit right. I'm going to lay my serving over there, make a couple of wraps going this way, and then I'm just going to take this serving and wrap over itself right down there. So it's kind of crossing over itself right there. I'm going to make a couple of wraps like that. And now I'm going to put this string in a bind and really hold it and start running that serving tool over it. I'm going to come back 6 or 8 times. Now I'm going to take this tag end here and really cinch it down so that this thing cinches onto itself. All right, so you want to come up far enough to give yourself some leeway for adjusting your nock height up and down. And so now we can just go ahead and take this thing, this tag end here, trim that off. Make a couple of more wraps to cover that end up. And now we can go ahead and secure this thing. So I'm going to pull off maybe 2 feet. 18 inches or so of serving. All right, so now we can fix this end so it doesn't come loose. So what we're going to do is create a loop here, just like that. And we're going to take this tag end and keep on twisting around the string the same way, going this way, but now we're twisting on the inside of this loop and we're working back towards the main body of the serving. Okay, so now we're going to take this, we're going to lay it right up against the body of the string. And now we're going to come back and work on this side. And now we're going to wrap over the top of that tag end, which is going to wrap it here and then unwrap it from here. It sounds complicated, but it's really very simple. So now that we've unwrapped everything, we'll go ahead and just hold our finger there, take this tag end, pull that, and really cinch it down. And now we'll cut that off. And that's that. We can use this for a tie-on nock if we want to. All right, guys, well, that's my string making method. I hope you learned something. If you've got any feedback, just leave them in the comments below. And as always, all the guys that are signed up for Patreon, I really appreciate it. And if you are into bow building or just traditional archery in general, go and check out my Patreon site. There's a ton of great info on there, and it gives a good place for me to interact with you guys on a one-on-one basis. So with that, check it out, and we'll see you next time.